Welcome to Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Today, February the 12th, 2020. Happy International Darwin Day, everybody. I'm your missing link, host Nick Geber. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Geber. And with me, the scientist who found me in a cave, our very own Ali Third Degree Burns.
It was truly survival of the fittest.
Indeed, indeed,
you fought
Ali.
those bears with a vengeance.
I did. I ripped them to pieces with my teeth.
Yep.
But we're going to do that with picks today.
Yep, let's
with
do
sports picks. We're gonna show you survival of the fittest of the sports bettors today. The winners are at the top of the heap, holding great big piles of money, and the losers, well, they're getting dragged off to debtor's prison. You don't want to be the latter. Welcome, by the way, Nick Geber, Ali Burns, picksandparlays.net. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to start with some NHL odds and futures with our good friend Higgy Pop. Sean Higgs himself will join us on the guest line. We're going to take a look forward to the end of the NHL season with some crystal balling, if that's a verb.
I like some crystal balling.
Yeah. I don't know. Was crystal any good? Okay. Then
Pass.
we're going to move on to some NCAA basketball with Damian. Sosh will join us. We got 4 games for you. We're going to give them to you in detail, so you want to stay tuned for that. And finally, a little Mba Rapid-Fire with our one and only
Trapp.
That's right. Count Trappula, El Guapo. He will join us here on the show. By the way, we've got lots for you today. Going to give you a lot of free picks. Make sure you write them down, unless you're driving, in which case don't write them down. Don't worry about it. At the end of the show, we'll recap all the picks. And if you should miss any of the show, don't worry about it either, because it will be replayed on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, where it is streaming live as well for live video for you. And, of course, our very own podcast network, the Believe Podcast Network. You can download the show and listen to it while you're sweating. You can sweat with the oldies. That would be me, not her. Okay. All right, that's what's on tap today. Before we get started, just a quick note. We have a promo code, right?
We do have a promo code. It is CHARM, C-H-A-R-M, just like me. It's going to save you, fill up your basket as much as you want. It's going to save you 15% when you check out. So check out that promo code CHARM.
All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. We'll be right back with some NHL odds and futures with Sean Higgy Pop. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, where we are with you every day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, for your sports betting edification. There is no other place on the radio where you're going to get this many free picks from expert handicappers than right here. By the way, find me on Twitter at Nick Geber and my lovely co-host, Ali Burns. You can find her at Plus Money Honey. I don't know if we have a lower third for you, Ali. If we don't, it's easy, though. Plus
Can I get
Money
a lower
Honey.
third?
We'll work it out. We'll get you one. I'll put a word in with El Guapo. I'm pretty sure.
All right, if you could.
He can order one up for you. All right. Well, let's get to it, shall we? Let's bring in our good friend Sean Higgy Pop. Let's talk about the NHL season, because it is not only underway, it is underway with a vengeance. And I think it's time, Higgy, that we can start looking at some futures. What do you say? I missed you there.
Basically, in a home kind of stretch, it's...
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep. We're ready to go, right? Well, let's
Why not? Listen, some people don't like futures to start the year. Me and Ali did some Major League Baseball futures, and a lot of people don't like to tie their money up for 10 months. But now, it's only a couple months, and you got some decent odds because you got a little separation of talented teams. So,
all right, well, let's take a look, shall we? Let's start on the East, shall we? Let's take a look at the Atlantic Division, where the Bruins are sort of running away with it, but not by that big of a margin. I mean, they've got the Lightning and the Leafs sort of right there with them. And in the Metropolitan side of it, I suppose you've really got the Capitals and the Penguins. So looking at the East, how do you see that one?
Listen, you can find a lot of plus teams right now. You're getting good take back 450 on the top teams here: Boston, the Capitals, Tampa Bay. And like you said, like the Toronto, I'm not that high. Toronto's a little far back. If we're looking for a little longer shot guy, I'm going to go Columbus, maybe the Islanders. Columbus to win the East, the plus 1,500. Although maybe Islanders, they started out really good. They were really early on. They're plus 15 to win the Stanley Cup. But again, we saw how great Tampa was last year, and they blew it. So you got to think, all right, they start out slow this year. Maybe they're like, you know what? We just got to concentrate on the playoffs. They're not going to probably get, you never see nothing as a guarantee, but I don't see them really getting knocked off again in the first round, especially after last year. So Tampa Bay is going to definitely look at a team to play on. And at plus 450, the team had the most points in the league last year. They're right on Boston's heels right now. So I think Tampa, maybe Washington, obviously the favorites, so they're plus 400. So those are the two teams I'm kind of looking at, and maybe a longer shot on Columbus or the Islanders if you want to go that route. But I think if you get Tampa and the Capitals are plus 450, that's not a bad take back to win the division or win the conference, because I think those two are the top teams playing right now. I mean, when all's said and done, I think we'll be seeing one of those two teams representing the East
Caps
here.
Or the Bruins?
The Caps or Tampa, one of those two.
Oh yeah,
I'm not that high on the Bruins. I mean, the Bruins are leading. They're leading, but you know what? I don't know. I got the.
I mean, they got 11 losses on the season. They got 80 points. I mean, in fact, I want to say I think they've got more points than any other team in the entire NHL, East and West. Yet you're dissing them, and I personally take it as a great insult.
Yeah, what the Bruins ever do to
you? What though? They're the same odds as the teams behind them at plus 400. I mean, they're same with the Capitals. I'm just not. I think Tampa Bay last year was a fluke loser there. It's how many people had them penciled going right in the way they played. So I think they got a lot to prove. And the Capitals, I don't know, man. That team's just good. They're what, a year. 2 removed from their own Stanley Cup, so you can't really lay on them. They have 15 losses. They're not a bad team at all either. So, listen, you can take the Bruins. You want plus 400 on the Bruins? I'm not going to talk you off.
I'll tell you why I like the Bruins. I'm going to tell you why I like the Bruins, and I'll take plus 400 on the Bruins, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because they have 12 overtime losses, and you know how those overtime losses are. I mean, it gets to be a coin flip, okay? And sometimes luck goes your way, and sometimes luck doesn't go your way. It's just one of these things where I think on a normal day, they'd probably be at about the same where everyone else is, about 7 or 8 overtime losses. Then that would be extra points for them, and they'd have an even bigger gap. So I think we'd be talking differently about the Bruins. So that's a way to look at it.
That's a good angle right there, Nick.
In the interest of time, let's move along to the West, and let's talk a little bit about the Western Conference, where the St. Louis Blues are currently plus 333. Allie, how did you see this one?
I don't know. I'm not a super hockey follower. I kind of get most of my information from the vibe here in Vegas, from my friends that bet on it all the time. My big question in the West, I wasn't expecting to see the Golden Knights at plus 400, plus 450.
Yeah.
I know they're third in the division behind, is it Edmonton and Vancouver? I just was under the impression that they weren't that solid of a team this year. So where am I going wrong here? Are they worth a play?
I was looking at Vancouver because they're plus 1,100 and they're leading the Pacific, and they're actually got worse odds than Arizona, who's in 5th at 900. Vegas, you mentioned. It's weird out there. I mean, I was trying to think, like, why is Vancouver so bad? Is it the matchups? I mean, you see the numbers here for the total points. I mean, the East with the Capitals and the Bruins clearly better than these guys. These guys are all in the mid 60s here with their points. But Vegas, you're in Vegas. It was a swan song. How do you write a story of them going to the Cup in their first year? Maybe that's just it's a shorter number because, one, Vegas people are betting like crazy on them. They think this is normal. Our first year in the league, we're in the Stanley Cup. We're going to be in the finals every year. So maybe it's a little adjusted because of the bias out there.
Right.
It brings the odds down a little bit. I don't know. I mean, they fired their head coach. They haven't really moved the needle. They're 4-2, 5-2, or something like that since they've made a coaching change. So that's just what they've been playing all year. So that really hasn't affected them that much.
Okay, so I'm not totally crazy then.
No, it's listen.
Just partially.
Just kind of crazy.
It's partially crazy. Yeah.
It's partially crazy. I mean, but really, Vancouver's leading and they're plus 1,000, and the teams behind them all have shorter odds. I got 650 for Vegas to win the West, 900 for Arizona. I mean, Nashville's, in here. I know they're in the Central Division, but teams with worse records. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing Vancouver. Maybe it's a bad read. But I mean, you can get a team that's leading their own division. Obviously, they win some games. Plus 1,000, plus 1,100. I get St. Louis is hot. St. Louis is good. Colorado's been really good.
Does it have to do with the remainder of the season? Like, does Vancouver have a much tougher road ahead of them than, say, the Golden Knights do or the Oilers?
I didn't get into everybody's schedule coming down because there's just so many. You start playing variables like that. That's, let's be honest. I'm not doing schedules for 16 teams in the West or the Pacific out here.
Let's face it, you're not Joe Duffy. We'll forgive you.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah, that's not my can of worms. I'll be honest. That's not me. I'm just looking based on where we are now and the odds. Obviously, they think whether it's scheduling or they're just not good and the law of averages. I don't know. I'm looking at the money lines and what kind of price I'll get back. And hey, it's a first place team getting a nice chunk back. Right. It's worth a shot. It's a long shot, yes. I mean, St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas will be my top 3 picks out here.
Got it. Well, let's move along.
It's a good spot though, Nick, because you're getting 400 out east, and you're getting 3s and 350s here. That's a nice take back out of that. You put $100, you're gonna one of the top teams make it. You're gonna make money.
All right. Unfortunately, we literally have 30 seconds left, and it's not enough time to get into our Stanley Cup futures. Why don't we do that next time with you, Sean, so that we can
sure.
Because I mean there's a whole bunch of talking points with the Stanley Cup futures, but we've had such an exciting time with you that we thought time's just flown. I mean, they say time flies when you're having fun, but I never realized I was having quite this much fun.
Caps in Tampa for me right at the bat here. I'm getting move on to 400. Let's go. And Boston for you, Nick. I'll put a little
I like a little Boston.
Out here
Thank you.
in Jersey.
I gotta have a little Boston.
A little sprinkle.
Okay.
Boston. Sprinkle it in. Boston cream for you.
Always a pleasure. Sean Higgs.
Take it easy,
better
guys.
known as Higgy Pops. Higgy Pop. All right. You can find Sean's picks up on our website, picksandparlays.net. We're going to step aside, gather our thoughts. We have one of them. It is, of course, International Darwin Day. And when we come back, Damian Omen.
The missing
Sosh.
link.
The missing link. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays, here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, where we have the privilege of speaking with you each and every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific if you're on the left coast. And, of course, we stream live throughout the day on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you want to talk to us, if you want to interact with the show, we would love to hear from you. Just fill out the comments section on any one of our social media platforms, and we will be more than happy to read it and put it up on the screen and talk to you and bring you into the show. It could even be rude. Let's be honest. It could be very rude. We'll still bring it in. We have no more rude cap on the comments. Of course, expletives will be bleeped because of the radio portion of the show. All right, Nick Geber here along with Ali Burns, Third Degree. You ready? We did a little NHL.
Yep.
Shall we move along to a little, shall we say, NBA minor leagues? No, I'm not talking about the D League or the G League. We're talking about the one and done league.
Yep.
NCAA.
NC2A basketball.
That's
it's my
right.
very, very favorite.
Well, let's bring in our good friend and expert capper, Damian Omen Sosh. Damian, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, guys?
Very well.
Rockin'.
I didn't get any of that really eerie music behind you, blackbirds or large Dobermans, so I think I'm fine.
It's playing.
If you come at me with those ancient knives, though, we may have problems. Okay, Damian, let's get to it, shall we? We're talking some college basketball. One of my favorites. Let's kick it off, shall we? Let's do this one next. Let's start with Xavier at Butler. We had an interesting off-camera discussion about Xavier. Good Catholic school, yet somehow reminds me of Xaviera Hollander, the woman that wrote
If anybody knows
Happy
who
Hooker.
that is, please write in and tell us that Nick's not the only one who knows who this person is.
All right, let's do it, shall we? Let's start with Xavier Musketeers. Atos, Portos, Aramis. No, it's the Xavier
All right.
Musketeers. 16-8, 8-14-2 against the spread. They're 2-5 in the last 10. They're on a 3-game winner right now. They beat Seton Hall, DePaul, and Providence. Of course, this is a Big East matchup. They're 3-4 straight up and against the spread on the road. 5-6 in conference, and their total's gone under in 9 of the last 13. Really, a surprise package, I think, Xavier, this year. And the Butler Bulldogs, 18-6, also decent record, 12-10. 2 against the spread. They're 5-5 in the last 10 as well, though they did lose the last outing to Marquette by 19 points, which didn't make anybody happy. They are, however, 11-2 straight up, 6-5-2 against the spread when at home. They're 6-5 in the conference play and got overs in 6 of the last 9. And then Bulldogs, they be favorites at -5 with a total of 129. Looks about right to me, although are we underestimating the Xavier Musketeers, Damian?
You know, when I take a look at Xavier, they're playing some really good basketball right now. As you mentioned, they won 3 in a row. They beat a really good Seton Hall team on the road. Seton Hall was a top 10 ranked team at the time. Butler had that big win against Villanova at home. And then they followed it up with that stinker that you alluded to there with Marquette getting beat by 19. Butler led by Kamar Baldwin's averaging 16 points per game. But the team, they've really been inconsistent. They've dropped 5 of their last 8 games. Xavier, as I mentioned, they're coming into this game hot. If they want to keep their March Madness dreams alive, they need to keep on winning. Najee Marshall's averaging 16 points per game for Xavier. Tyreek Jones is averaging a double-double with 13.5 points, 11 boards per game. Both these teams, they do tempo, and I think this game is going to be close throughout. And I give Xavier the nod down low. I think Tyreek Jones has an advantage over the Butler players. And I like you're getting the points on the road in this one.
All right, points on the road it is. So you're going to take Xavier at +5, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, there you have it. Allie, what's next?
All right. Xavier +5, I like a lot, by the way. Unimpressed with Butler. Okay, so what's next? We're going to talk about Kansas and West Virginia. West Virginia is another team that I really like a lot this year, especially when they're playing at home. They're 12-0 at home. Kansas Jayhawks are 7-1 on the road. We're talking about the number 2 and the number 4 teams in the Big 12 right now, so this should be a really good matchup. The Jayhawks have won their last 8 in a row. I was really impressed with their last one. They played TCU. TCU usually holds other teams to low amount of points, but the Jayhawks held the Horned Frogs to only 46 points. They hung 60 on their own court. West Virginia's coming off a 10-point loss at Oklahoma. They're not a great road team. They've only won 3 of their last 5, but they are great at home. That's where they're going to be. I saw this number open -1 West Virginia. Then I saw it +1 West Virginia. I'm seeing it even, and I got a total at 132.5. What are you thinking about this one? Is an even matchup, or are we lopsided here?
I think this is a pretty even matchup. Look, this game, 2 great teams going at it. Kansas, ranked number 3, as you mentioned, won 8 in a row. They beat West Virginia the first time these 2 teams met, 60-53. Devin Dotson and Yoduka Azubuike leading the way there for Kansas, as they usually do night in and night out for this team.
Oh, sorry.
Not that I'm aware of. Dodson, he had 16 points in that first meeting, and Azubuike has 17 to go along with 11 boards. Azubuike's actually averaging nearly a double-double this year for the Jayhawks, and he's shooting nearly 76% from the floor. Now granted, he's 7-footer. Lots of his shots are near the basket, but 76% is really impressive. West Virginia, though, they're ranked number 14. They're coming off that loss to Oklahoma, where they shot just terribly from the floor. 24 for 76 in that game, just 32%. I can't imagine that they would shoot that poorly against Kansas, but Kansas is a top defensive team in the Big 12. West Virginia, they're ranked number 3 in the Big 12, so they're going to be able to get after you defensively as well. Derek Culver, he's a really good player for West Virginia. He's 6'10". I think he's going to be able to go toe-to-toe to Azubuike in this game. Should be a good battle down low. In big games, some teams come out a little tight. Shots don't always fall right away, but the defense always comes in these big games. And neither team's very good at free throw shooting. West Virginia's particularly bad at 62% on the season. I like this game to be close, and I like it to stay under total.
Under the total it is. All right, let's move along. We're getting short on time here. One of my favorites in the Big East also, we're talking Creighton at Seton Hall. And why do I like Seton Hall? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Creighton Blue Jays 18-6 at 12-9-2 against the spread. They're 6-4 in the last 10, coming off a 94-82 win over St. John's. 4-4 straight up, 4-3-1 against the spread on the road. 7-4 in conference, 4-1 against the spread in the last 5. And why do I like them Seton Hall guys? Because they're pirates. And I get to do my piratical voice and say, "Arr, will they make these Blue Jays walk the plank? Ye shall find out." Okay, they're 9-1 in the last 10. They're on a 2-game winner right now. They're 9-2 straight up, 7-3-1 against the spread at home, 10-1 in conference. Look, the total's gone over in 5 of the last 7 when they play the Blue Jays. They are making the Blue Jays walk the plank, laddie. Have no delusions otherwise. This is going to be a spanking. Yet. The Pirates, only 6-point home favorites. I don't get it. 146 total points. Enlighten me, Omen. Enlighten me.
Well, Creighton, nicely from that loss to Providence. They only scored 56 points in that game as their lowest output on the season. They then beat St. John's, the very 4 points, which was their highest output of the season. Now this Creighton, they're very good team, one of the best in the country. They can tops in the Big East. They can really shoot the ball. Tyshawn Alexander leads the way for this team. He leads them in points. Seton Hall, though, they are tops not only in the conference, but they're the top defensive team in the conference. They play excellent perimeter defense. They hold Big East opponents to less than 28% shooting from beyond the arc. They're also going to have the size advantage against Creighton. Romaro Gill, he's 7'2", big man for Seton Hall. While he's not asked to score a lot, he definitely alters a lot of shots. His last 2 games, he had 8 blocks against Georgetown, 3 against Villanova. Offensively, Seton Hall is going to look to Miles Powell. He's the go-to guy. He averages nearly 22 points in 31 minutes. When it's all said and done, I like Seton Hall to cover this number. I think the defense gets it done in this game for the Pirates.
All right, next up, Allie, what's next on the agenda? We got one more game.
I have loved Rutgers all season. They're 17-7. We're going to see them play at Ohio State. They're 15-8. Rutgers coming off a win in overtime, 77-73 against a cruddy Northwestern team. Ohio State was down by 18 at the half in Oklahoma. Oh, no. They lost that game by 13. I'm showing Ohio State -6. The total's 128.5. What can you tell me about this one?
Yeah, after Rutgers finally cracked the top 25 and what seemed like forever, they went out and dropped their next 2 games against Michigan and Maryland, and then they beat that crappy Northwestern team that you just mentioned in overtime. Ohio State, they won 3 in a row before losing to Wisconsin at home, but it's an important game for both teams. They need to start showing that they can win consistently. Both teams are putting up similar offensive and defensive, averaging about 71 points per game, both teams, and only allowing just 61 points per game. And conference play, Rutgers, they're just the 11th in the Big Ten in offense. It's odd saying 11th team in the Big Ten, but that's what they are. But they are good.
The Big Ten is getting 11 bids to the tournament.
Yeah. And then the Big 12 only has 10 teams. It's strange.
Take the number away. Why do we need a number?
Let's be honest. These are college athletes. These aren't academics. Okay.
But why do we even need a number? Call them the big something else. Anyway, sorry, Damian.
That's no problem. Let's see. Where was I? Ohio State, though, they've had their team as well. But are playing some good defense. Last 3 out of their last 4 games, they held their opponent to under 60 points. Ohio State's a team that likes to pound the ball inside to the big man Caleb Wesson. Neither of these teams play at a fast tempo, which means they're going to see slow pace, kind of walking the ball up the court. Rutgers ranks just 219th in Division I, and Ohio State is just 280th in tempo. So I expect we're going to see a very slow pace in this game, and I like the under in this game as well.
All right.
Under it is, under 128.5. Thank you so much.
All right, Damian, awesome. Thank you. Great stuff. We'll take the under on that one. We're going to have to go, though, because when we come back, some NBA rapid fire. Just want to remind you, before we go, you can find Damian and all of his picks at picksandparlays.net. And while you're about it, why don't you take 15% off, use promo code CHARM, CHARM, and enjoy a little discount on us. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm your host, Nick Geber, along with my good friend, Ali Third Degree Burns. You can find her on Twitter at @PlusMoneyHoney, where she will no doubt regale you with stories of her massive sports betting wins. But, Ali,
Yes.
what's on the agenda next?
All right, we're doing our NBA Rapid Fire. This is my very favorite segment. We're going to do it with Craig Trapp, El Guapo. Craig, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Excited. Last full day before the All-Star game. Of course, on Thursday is just 2 games. So time to build that bankroll. And then if you're just an NBA bettor, take a few days off and watch the All-Star game and all the festivities.
Absolutely. So, Craig, you look quite spiffy there in your Picks and Parlays gear. I was telling everybody about our 15% off promo code CHARM. Everyone should take advantage of that. And before we get going, Craig, just before we get the wheels going on NFL Rapid Fire, quickly tell us what other goodies are up on the site.
Well, of course, if you're a consistent bettor, bet every day, the subscriptions are always your best way to go. But you can get the daily packages from any of your favorite handicappers. But if you're a smaller bettor, probably not something you would normally use the subscription to the daily package. So you buy the consensus report. Consensus report, $49. You get a 30-day pass and get usually 5 to 7 picks every day, and a good way to put your money to use there.
All right, well, let's give some NBA picks. They can put their money to use there as well. Let's start, shall we? Golden State Warriors at the Phoenix Suns. The Warriors are 12-42, 26-27-1 against the spread. 2-8 in the last 10 on a 3-game loser right now. They did drop the last game to the Heat by a fair amount of points. What's that? 12. I can do math better than most of these college athletes, trust me. They're 5-23 straight up, 14-14 against the spread at home. Total's gone over in 7 of the last 10. And then Phoenix Suns, 21-23, 25-28-1 against the spread. They're only 3-7 in the last 10, coming off a whopping 25-point bottom spanking. They pulled their pants down and spanked their bare bodies, those Lakers did, to them Suns. Oh dear. 10-18 straight up. 11-16-1 against the spread, win at home. Look, there's a long list of injuries as well. Bain, Saric, Ayton, and Harper all out for this game. Total's gone under in 5 of the last 6 versus Golden State. And the Suns, although having said all of that, are still favorites at 7.5 points. Craig, help me, please.
Hard to put your money on the Suns team that's just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 and straight up. So to me, I think you have to take the points with the Golden State Warriors. Of course, the big trade. Getting Wiggins from Minnesota and shipping off D'Angelo Russell was the big news at the trade deadline for Golden State. I think he's a much better fit once Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green all get healthy. I think this team's going to be one to reckon with again next year. And I think Wiggins has a big game here tonight. I think the Warriors maybe even win this game. But at the worst, let's take the 7.5 points. I just think Phoenix is not a team you can lay, even at home, lay 7.5 because Phoenix is just not good against the spread.
All right. Next up, Allie, what you got?
All right, so grab your Old English, put it in a paper bag, because we're going to talk about a bum fight, all right? I'm talking about the Hornets and the Timberwolves. This is not a game that I'm going to watch unless there's money on it. Hornets are 17-36. They've lost 8 of their last 10, but they are coming off a win in Detroit, 87-76. If you think 8 out of the last 10 is bad, well, the T-Wolves have lost 9 out of their last 10. They're 16-36. They're coming off an 11-point loss in Toronto, but hey, everybody loses in Toronto, right? I got Minnesota -7 at home. The total did some funny things here. I saw it open at 221. Now it's all the way at 226.5. Craig, help me out here.
Well, this is like, scratch your head type game because how is Minnesota favored by 7.5 over many people? I know Charlotte's been bad, but hey, Charlotte, at least on the road, is 14-14 against the spread. Guess what? Minnesota at home, 6-19-1 against the spread. The worst team against the spread at home this year. So I think you have to take the Charlotte Hornets here. I think Charlotte Hornets might even win this game outright, but at the worst, I think they cover this big spread of 7.5 and head into the All-Star game with at least a little momentum after a really struggling start for the Charlotte Hornets.
All right, fair enough. I did a little handicapping in the last 5 games. The T-Wolves have averaged 23 more points than the T-Wolves, or the T-Wolves have averaged more than the Hornets, but they're giving up 13 more points as well. So I like your play. take the 7 with the Hornets. Nick?
This is the last day of the week, or for a lot of these teams going into the All-Star game. I like a lot of these, like if you like a round robin parlay type guy, I like you put the money line in there with 4 or 5 of these big underdogs, like the Warriors, like the Hornets, because if you get 2 or 3, it really can pay. It really can pay. And I think crazy things happen because, of course, everybody is planning for vacations. Some of them are headed to the All-Star game. Some of them are headed, on vacations with their families or whatever. So I think it could be crazy stuff last day. So be careful.
All right, next up, let's do the Portland Trailblazers at Memphis Grizzlies. The Trailblazers 25-29. They're 23-29-2 against the spread. They've won 7 of the last 10, coming off a 115-109 win over the Heat. They're 10-18 straight up, though, and 12-16 against the spread on the road. Not the best road team out there. Little Hezonja, I'll get the name right. Sorry, bad pronunciation. They're both out. Simon should play, though. And as for the Grizzlies, they're 27-26, 29-23, and 1 against the spread. They've won 7 of the last 10, coming off a 106-99 win over the Wizards. They're 15-13 straight up and 16-12 against the spread at home. They're 11-3 as a favorite, and they are 4.5-point home favorites here with a total of 234. Actually, what's interesting to me about this game is the Trailblazers are really quite a crappy team on the road, and the Grizzlies are really not that great of a team at home either. So it's an interesting dichotomy, shall we say, Craig.
Well, the Grizzlies have been a lot better lately. This young team has really started to put things together. Had a nice win at Washington. That's a tough place to play sometimes, especially for a Western Conference team. You're going to play one of the bottom teams in the East, but they didn't have any letdown there. I like the way Memphis has been playing. Portland, of course, is in a back-to-back here. Damian Lillard is playing MVP type level, and it's hard to bet against him right now. So to me, even though I do think the Grizzlies win and cover this one, I think you have to play the total in this one. And I think I'd play the over here. One, you got the Blazers, like I said, in a back-to-back spot, really tough spot to finish out the regular first half of the regular season, go into the All-Star break. And you face a Grizzlies team that really likes to push the pace. So let's take the over here. And I think this over is actually up a little bit. I have it at 235. I even see it at 235.5. So make sure you shop it around. But let's take the over Blazers at the Grizzlies.
All right, next NBA pick I have for you. We're going to do Miami and Utah. Now, when I was looking over things, these two teams could really not be more alike on paper. They're both 35-18 for the season. They're both 5-5 in the last 10 games. They both average 111. They both give up 108. But where they differ is that Utah has won their past 3 games, and while Miami is coming off of a win at Golden State, they lost the 3 before that. I'm showing Utah at home -5.5 with a total of 217.5. Does Utah keep on winning here, or is the Heat looking to ignite some fires?
Well, I'm back on a total on this one again. I just think these are 2 pretty good teams. And Andre Iguodala trade, I think, they're continually going to be working him into the lineup. I think that's going to be a nice improvement come the second half of the season after the All-Star break. I love Jimmy Butler. He's just a guy that I just don't like to bet against because the way he plays, the amount of intensity he plays with on both sides of the floor, he just doesn't take plays off. It's the type of guy you love playing as an underdog, and that's what they are here tonight. So to me, I think Utah is the better team, and at home in the thin air, last game before the All-Star break, I think it's a tough spot for the Heat. So to me, I think you have to go with the total here, play a little safer. 2 pretty good defenses. Both of these teams have hung their hat on defense when they played their best this year, and I like the under 217 in this one. I just think you're going to see a lot more defense than what we've seen. Most of the league this year have been a bunch of high-scoring games, but these are 2 teams that don't necessarily give up a ton of points. Like you said, both of them give up 180 games. So I could see this one staying under the 217 total here.
All right. Under. It was under, right?
It was under.
I thought I heard under.
He says under.
Yes. All right. What next up? Sacramento Kings versus the Dallas Mavericks. The Kings 21-32, 26-26-1 against the spread. They're 6-4 in the last 10, coming off a loss to the Bucks. They wrote Ducks. I'm like, well, they're not playing hockey. They are playing basketball. Okay, 10-17 straight up, 16-11 against the spread on the road. The total's gone over in 12 of the last 15. And the Mavs, speaking of Mavs, the new Top Gun movie's coming out, but we'll leave that one aside.
Wow.
32-22, 28-23-3 against the spread. 4-6 in the last 10. Lost to the Jazz last time out. 14-14 straight up. 10, 17, and 1 against the spread at home. DeLon Wright, Luka Doncic. Thank you. I get it. Should play. Total's gone over in all of their last 5 games. And then Mavs are 6.5-point home favorites. No total, though. Seems about right to me, actually, Craig.
Well, the problem here for the Dallas Mavericks has been they're just so banged up this year. It just seems like right when they get Luka back, then somebody else goes down. I just think it's been, and I think after the All-Star break, they probably could use this break. They're going to be a team to watch, I think. But I think this is just a little too many points here. I think the Sacramento Kings have started to put things together. 6-4 against the spread in the last 10. They're actually not bad on the road, 16-11 against the spread on the road this year. And Dallas hasn't been a great home team, surprisingly. They're only just 10, 17, and 1 against the spread at home. Yeah, so to me, I think you have to take the Kings here. I just think the Kings are getting 6.5. I even see it in some spots at 7, so make sure you shop this around. I think the Sacramento Kings are a dangerous spot to even maybe win this outright, but I don't think I would play the money line here. I think I would just stick with the 6.5 or 7 that you can get.
All right, take those points with the Kings. Okay, so last one for you. We're going to talk Lakers and Nuggets. And speaking of that All-Star break, I'm kind of wondering how Team LeBron might be affected by this matchup. Lakers are 40-12 for the season. They've won their last 4 of 5, but they haven't really been playing the toughest of competition. And when they did play the Rockets at home, they ended up losing. The Nuggets are rocking it out as well. They too have won the last 4 of 5, but the last game was a doozy. They were down by 23 points to the San Antonio Spurs at one point. They did rally back, but seriously, 23 points is a little much there. I'm not showing any advanced lines on this. Did you get any line?
Yeah, the advanced line I see is the Lakers -1. Okay. I wouldn't be shocked if even Denver is favored at 1, but I think it's going to be around that number either way.
That seems right.
I don't see any total yet listed, but I think these totals probably, the Lakers game seems like they're in the high 220s or low 230s every game. Right. I think though when you look at this game, it's all about motivation for both two teams that have a fair amount of All-Stars or players playing are going to be in the All-Star weekend festivities. LeBron, obviously, like you said, he was, he's a captain of one of the teams, had to select one of his teammates selected Anthony Davis, number 1. I like this Lakers team. I just think they're going to play motivated here. I just think LeBron, he's been on a mission this year, I think to show everybody that, last year was, not his best, obviously, and set out most of the last part of the season there. I think he's, as much as I hate to say it because I don't like LeBron, but I think he gets this one done in the thin air, in Denver, but I think it's going to be a doozy, a very good game to watch. Maybe one of the better games to watch. Other than I did love that Houston game when Houston played every guy under 6'7", and they still beat the Lakers. That at LA, that was impressive. I think maybe that is the way you beat the Lakers. You go really small, so that way you take out Dwight Howard.
That's a good call. Okay, so what was your pick on that again?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lakers -1. I just think the Lakers are clearly, when motivated, the best team in the West outside of the Clippers. But the Clippers did lose last night. So I think the Lakers would like to go into break with, a little bragging rights that they're kind of headed in the right direction.
All right, guys. Craig, thank you so much. You can find Craig's picks up at picksandparlays.net. And if you missed any of these picks, we're going to recap them for you right after the break here at Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, Picks and Parlays on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Nick Geber, along with Ali, Third Degree Burns. We've had a big show today, Ali. Did some NBA futures. We did some NHL futures. We did some NBA. We did some college basketball. Did you write them all down?
Of course I did.
Well, if you didn't out there, we're going to recap them for you right now. Let's start with Sean Higgs, NHL future predictions. And if you're watching this on one of our live streams, there are a lot of them. So why don't we start with the East?
All right, the East, we've got the Capitals at +400 and the Bruins at +400 as well.
And in the West, we got the Blues +333 and the Avs +350. Now, we didn't really get into some of these Stanley Cup picks, but we'll put them out here for you anyway. What's his favorite here?
He likes Tampa +800. He likes the Caps +800 and the St. Louis Blues at +900. Also likes Dallas plus 1,400, Islanders plus 1,500, and Vancouver plus 2,100. There's some value for you.
Yeah, there's also a lot of picks. There's a lot of people to win the Stanley Cup. I think only one will actually win it. Okay, next up, we did some college basketball with Damian Sosh. Creighton at Seton Hall. Take them Pirates. -6. Arr. They're going to make them Creighton boys walk the plank. Kansas at West Virginia. Take the under 133. Xavier Butler take Xavier +5. And Rutgers at Ohio State take the under 125.
All right, and for Craig Trapp's NBA Rapid Fire picks, he says in the Blazers and Grizzlies, take that over the 235. Kings at Maverick, take those points with Sacramento +6.5. And on the Heat at the Jazz, let's go under 217.
All right, there are picks for you from today. And if you missed any of them, well, don't worry. You can go to the website, picksandparlays.net, where we have more free picks up there than you know what to do with. And right now, when you're ready for our expert picks, ready to kick it up a notch, as Emerald would say,
Yep.
you can get 15% off.
Bam.
Promo code CHARM, CHARM. That's
We
right.
need a promo code BAM.
Bam. That's
Bam.
right. We can do that. All right, we'll be back on the air with you tomorrow.
4 Eastern,
4
1
Eastern,
Pacific.
1 Pacific. Okay, what can I say? We'll get it right, but we'll be back with you tomorrow. In the meantime, have a great night. Bet smart, bet big, and remember, bet, win, repeat.